Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. May peace be upon us all. I start with these Islamic greetings. My dear students, respected teachers, and senior staff members, and principal and school management of VELLAMMAL group of institutions. Indeed, it was a glad to connect with you all in this great occasion. I always had a great opinion about VELLAMMAL school due to consistent results and remarkable achievements of students both in innovation and academia. Before going to the subject, I would like to give a brief about myself. My name is Abdur Rahman Karim, founder and CEO of ARK Solutions, and I started my career after finishing my graduation at New College in 1996. My first job as a IT technical assistant in Dubai. It's almost 25 years completed this June 2020. So 25 years of IT industry and IT exposures, worked in various countries, especially in the Middle East, and also been in the industry, in Indian IT industry since 2007 to 2017. I was working with various multinational companies based out of Chennai. So this is a small brief about me. I would like to share about my experience and rejoice with you all. So today we have gathered here for Bakrid festival, and what is the purpose, and what is the reason for celebration. So I want to give a brief about why we are celebrating this and what is the special about it. Bakrid is all about a festival of sacrifice. It's a festival of charity. It's a festival of giving to relatives, friends, and poor families. It's more about giving back to the community. Bakrid is celebrated as part of Hajj. Hajj is the fifth and final pillar of Islam. There is five pillars, and it's a fifth pillar of Islam. The history behind Bakrid is when Prophet Ibrahim, or known as Abraham in Bible, was instructed by Almighty God to sacrifice his own. He had only one son. His name is Ismail, and he was being asked to sacrifice his only son. And Prophet Ismail. Uh, one second. Prophet Ibrahim conveyed this message to his son Ismail about the God's instruction about sacrificing his son, and he also communicated the same to his wife Hajira. As a personal relationship exists, they were crying with response, but both agreed to oblige the God's instruction, and they agreed to do the sacrifice of Ismail, their one and only son. Okay, so after that, Prophet Ibrahim took his son to the place where he decided to offer a sacrifice, and he was cutting his neck with the knife. With several attempts, it did not succeed. And when he was putting that knife across the stone got, or it broke into pieces. And during that time, Angel Gabriel came down from sky with a message saying that Prophet Ibrahim and your family members, Almighty God has pleased with you, and he wants to test your sacrifice and obligations to the God's instruction. And so God has tested them, and they have been the God is Almighty God pleased with your reaction and response. And Angel Gabriel advise them to sacrifice goat as a sacrificing thing. So this is the reason behind sacrificing goat on the event on the eve of Bakrid. In Arabic, it is said as Eid al Adha, and this is performed during the Hajj. Hajj is the fifth pillar, as I mentioned earlier. During the Hajj, the pilgrims across the world, across the globe, they travel to a place called Makkah, which is the place where the holiest mosque or masjid is located, where they perform this Hajj. And during the 10th day of Hajj, the Bakrid or Eid al Adha is celebrated. This is being celebrated in the remembrance of Prophet Ibrahim, Prophet Ismail, and their family members' sacrifice and their obligations to Almighty God. So, what are the lessons we have taking from this festival of Bakrid? It's a festival of sacrifice, festival of giving back to the community. The first point I would like to share, or the point we have lessons here, is oblige and believe in Almighty God, the Creator of universe. As we Indians follow various religions and we need to believe in the superpower and creator, each of us have the freedom to worship as per our choice and guidance. So always believe that there is a creator who is above all, watching and monitoring all our actions and thinking. The, Another point I would like to highlight here, when for the prophet Ibrahim approached his son Ismail about the God's instruction, the young and only son Ismail agreed to his father and accepted the Almighty God's command to sacrifice himself. So, here we have 2 points to understand. Bakrit is all about celebrated to resemblance of obeying to parents' advice. Bakrit is resemblance of obeying to God's instructions. So these are all the two major takeaways we have from the celebration of Bakrit. Also, we have Bakrit is resemblance of celebration of festival of charity as well. So as a kid, we must understand the importance of parents and always strongly believe in our parents and their instruction or advice or suggestion going to be benefit for our growth. So how many students are good listeners and obey the advice of your parents? So when there is a pair, I mean, right now, the current generation or the current students, current kids, we have lots of exposure to the social media and lots of exposure to gadgets, various technologies, and this always make you as a student think that we also know this stuff, we also know that. But when the parents suggest or advise or give a guidance, how many of you student are willingly, politely and gently accepting the guidance of your parents? Apart from the parents, how many of you students, how many of you children accepting the guidance or the advices of your respected teachers? We always have a second thought or in the back of our mind saying that we know this. When we go and Google it, we can get this information, we can get this PowerPoint, we can get this video, so whatever it is. But still, as a learned professional teachers, they always have a better knowledge and experience to share with you, and their guidance is always to put you onto the right track and the right directions. Accordingly, your parents. Maybe as a kid, as a now we call everybody as a super kid because uh, they know much better of gadgets, and right now because of these online sessions and online classes, many of you are very familiar with using laptops and technologies, connecting to Google Classroom or Google Meet and various other social platforms, Microsoft Teams, or you call it GeoMeet, various meeting platforms. So this knowledge is not available for your parents. So you cannot create a division of understanding. When parents are giving you suggestions, when parents or a teacher are giving you suggestion or advice, it is based on their experience and the knowledge and wisdom, and they want to ensure that you have been taken care, you have been protected, you are in the right direction and path. So that is something which we wanted to carry the message from the festival of Bakrid. So Bakrid is also, as I mentioned earlier, is part of celebrating to resemblance of obeying to God's instructions. When a young kid, Ismail, was being told by his father, Prophet Ibrahim, that his son has to be sacrificed, and his son agreed to obey, and he told his father, I wanted to follow the God's instruction, you can go ahead and sacrifice me. That is the wisdom, that is the knowledge, that is the power of childhood, obeying to the parents advices, also obeying to God's instructions. For Muslims, the Almighty God's instructions are in the book of Quran, and for Christians, it is in Bible, and for Hindus and other religions, they have their own respective holy books. So these holy books of various religions teach us humanity, teaches how to behave with our neighborhood, how to behave with our friends, how to be part of a good human being, and how to become a socialized person. And all the holy books are uh, gives the guidance to the right direction and right path. Okay, as I said earlier, Bakrit is a festival of sacrifice. As the children, what would you consider your biggest sacrifice done by you? We were hearing the history of Prophet Ibrahim and Ismail. They obeyed to God, and they ready to sacrifice their children, and Ismail as a son ready to sacrifice himself. So these are all the sacrifice done for their betterment. So I would like to ask the children, what is your biggest sacrifice done by you, so that you listen or you understand the guidance of your parents and teachers. There is no need to do any big sacrifice because you have been protected by well wishers surrounding you. They are your parents first first preference as the parents, and your teachers and your friends and your neighborhood friends. So these are all the areas where you get the guidance. So kindly think over it. We are not doing any big sacrifice, but everything you are getting at your available disposals. And coming back to the point again, Bakrit is also a festival of charity, as I said earlier. Now we are in the pandemic situations. We know that almost since March 15, 2020, we are uh, completely into a home arrest kind of situation, that every children's were not allowed to move out of homes, and all the children's were being asked to stay inside home, and we were being kind of stress is there for all the children. I understand, as a parents myself, I have two kids, and I know how difficult for the kids to be inside home for a long period. But there are other side of the story also there. uh, just imagine March, April, May, June, July, so 4 months there is a complete lockdown, there is no business, there is no companies running, there is no office. Maybe majority part of the benefits like IT professionals or other environment where people can work from home, they can do the work from home. But that is only 10 to 15 percentage of the working environment or maximum. So remaining 80 percentage of the people, they lost their job, they don't have money or they did not get the salary. So those children's or the family belongs to those children were highly impacted because of economical situations. So these are all the situations where you can support the community by giving what you have and the giving back to the community. So these childrens were suffering from no food, and we have a opportunity to give back to the society when there is a need. Society is a part of a cycle chain where giver has to support the receiver. Those who have surplus has to support those who do not have it. Okay. So Bakrit is all about charity and giving to poor and needy, and one third of the meat must be given to a poor, and one third must be given to friends and relatives. Remaining one third is for the person who gives that sacrifice. So it's all about giving back to your near and dears and people who cannot afford or very needy people. We have to be. This is not option. This is not choice. It is a mandatory where anybody sacrifice the goat, they have to make the meat into three shares. One third has to go to the poor, one third has to go to their family and friends, and one third has to go to their themselves. So if you have this is all about giving, and this is all about charity. So when I say charity, when I come back to the children, I always tell them or that giving back to the community or giving back to the society or a charity does not mean you are giving a money to a needy person or giving a cloth to a needy person or giving a food to a needy person. Your knowledge, your wisdom, your experience, your thought process, or whatever you possess that you feel that as a skill set for yourself, like if you are good in mathematics or science, computer science, or any other subject, you can teach your fellow friend and you can share your knowledge with your school classmates and your flat or apartment or residential neighborhood friends. So sharing of knowledge is also giving back, or it is the biggest charity, I would say. So the wisdom from one person to another person is considered to be a biggest charity, because knowledge is power. And you students from the group of VELLAMMAL institutions, very strong academic background, and I know the potentials of you students. Maybe you can take or support and students who are not able to understand the subject or who need some additional support to so that you can give your knowledge, giving your time in by sharing your knowledge. These are all giving back to the community. So overall, coming back to Bakrid as a celebration, it is giving back to the community in terms of charity. Giving, it's a festival of sacrifice, it's a festival of charity, it's a festival of giving to relatives, friends, and poor family. So that is all about Bakrid. I wish you all the success in this academic year. Though we have challenges, though we have been forced to get into a new environment where we have to study from our home using online methodologies, but I understand as a parent the efforts put by the teachers and the school management to ensure they are able to give the same quality of education to the students through this online medium. So they are giving all the efforts. So make use of that. So all the challenges is going to be a new opportunity for us. So last year we never thought that we will be working on laptops and gadgets to study, but this year it has changed. So everybody is familiar with the technology. So this is going to make things easy for everybody. And I once again thank the management of VELLAMMAL group of institution for this opportunity. Wish you all the best. Thank you very much.